What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. So this video we will be ranking the best managers in the Premier League and the worst managers in the Premier League. We'll start off with 20th and we'll make our way up to first, because I think that's the best way to go. So in 20th place is right, I've remembered now. I was just going blank for a second. In 20th place is Scott Parker. I think he's got potential to be a good manager, but right now he's just not doing the job. He's doing, like, to be fair, it's hard with Fulham because they haven't really got anything that is amazing. Like, you look at them and they're a team that can't defend but also rely on one player to score goals. It's just not gonna work. Like, everyone will be shocked if they stay up, basically. But I think he's got potential to be a good manager, and I like him as a person, but just not yet. Like, he needs I think he needs another team. I mean, he did well to get them up, let's just say that, but to be fair as well, like, I think they didn't back him because last time they backed their manager, they spent 100 mil on players and they got nothing for it. They got relegated straight away, so maybe they're trying a different approach this season. But that's my opinion on Scott Parker. I think he's the worst manager in the Prem. Not like he's the most hated, but at the moment I think he's the worst manager. How I'm judging this is, 1, like, how they're doing this season, 2, what they've achieved in the past, and 3, what they've achieved in the Premier League. So overall, it is what I rate them though. Like, they're not gonna be first because they've won everything. They're not going to be last because they haven't won anything. It's what I think. So yeah, Scott Parker's last. Then second to last. Now, a lot of people would put probably Slaven here, as in Slaven Bilic. But personally, I think I'm going to actually go Steve Bruce. Personally, I think Steve Bruce is one of the worst managers. Like, everyone goes on, he's a good manager, he keeps teams up and that, they don't go down. But I'm pretty sure he was at Hull City and they went down when they had Harry Maguire, Andy Robertson, like, some of the better players in the league now. And he just doesn't look like he knows what he's doing with any team. Like, watching this Newcastle team, not gonna lie, they're lucky they've got players like St. Maxim and Wilson in this team. Because it just doesn't look like they play as a team. Defensively, I think they're okay, but attacking wise, I think I wouldn't even be that worried if I was against this team with my eyes closed. Like, the goal they scored against us in the United game, that was a goal that we basically created ourselves. Like, Shaw, admittedly, did his job and tried to clear it, but it just came off his foot and went in the goal. It's a bad own goal to concede. I mean, any own goal is. But at the same time, we created that goal. And then the goal against Spurs, they were very lucky to get that penalty. Like, if you look table-wise, they've done decent. But looking at them, they've been awful. So yeah, that's why I think Steve Bruce is 19th. And I don't think he's really ever done it for any teams. I like him because he used to play for United, but I don't think he's a good manager at all. Then coming in at, well, that 18th place, I think who have we got? Let's have a look at the managers that I've got a choice of. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be Slaven Bilic. I like him, and I think he could be a good manager. But for the teams that he has managed, he seems like the kind of man. He seems very similar managing style as Mourinho in a way, because he always seems to lose the like his players and that, and they don't seem to want to play for him. Like that West Ham team, the reason he got fired was because they just didn't want to play for him, and I think he does have some. He did manage that West Ham team and do very well, but I think that was mainly down to Payet and his brilliance. I don't think he ever was that great as a manager. Like, I think it was them down to Payet being absolutely world class. Like, when he came in the Prem, he could have fitted in any team at that time. He was incredible. Like, I remember watching West Ham games just to watch him. But yeah, I don't rate Bilic that much, but saying that, I've heard a difference with some West Brom fans. Some West Brom fans are very happy with him. But then, to be fair, they have had some managers like Tony Pulis and that, and I can understand why they might be happy with him, because at least they're trying. Like, and I think he's made a good team. I think they've got a good team at the moment. But I don't think they've got that world-class team. When I mean world-class, not like United, Man City, but like, if you look at all the teams, they all have like a solid team, basically. But West Brom, I think they've got a few decent players, but like, I don't think they're there yet. Let's just say that. I think they've got a lot of future stars, but no one that's ready yet, if you get what I mean. So that's my 18th place. 17th. Now, 17th is a hard one. And I probably will put... who do I put there? I'm probably going to put Southampton's manager. Or am I? Now, let's just say, a lot of these managers are easily changeable. But I think Southampton rely too much on Danny Ings at the moment. I think defensively they are quite a good team, to be fair, and I think he is a decent manager. I'm not gonna slate him off and say, oh, he's terrible, he's awful. But I think probably, to me, it's just the fact that I've not seen enough of him. This one is probably my fault more than anything, because I don't watch a lot of Southampton, but I don't think they are like amazing, but I don't think they're terrible. I think it's hard as well to rate him as a manager when I remember the Southampton team that had like Mane, Van Dijk, and they were always a team that were competing, but not quite there. Whereas now they're more like they are close to relegation battle team. But it's not his fault. It's like before that. But like, I don't know. I think he seems a good manager, but I just haven't seen enough of him. Now into, so that's 17th, into 16th place. That's meant to be 16 to 20, because obviously I can't do 15 on there. I am probably going to say Oh, I don't know. It's hard to pick between a lot of these. I am going to say... I'm probably going to say Chris Wilder, not going to lie. Had a very good first season in the Premier League and shocked everyone. Defensively, I think they are very, very good. But I don't think he's looked at his team and went... I know it's hard to get back in when you're not like a rich club, and like to bring the players in when you're not a proven club either. But there's a clear problem in that side, and that's scoring goals. And I think I don't know. I think defensively they are very good and look impressive. But there's a big problem in that team. It's really difficult to say what. Like, I think he's overhyped for what he did last season, and I think they were very lucky to get in that. But yeah, it's not one of those. But it's hard to say. Right, so next up, I am probably gonna say, I'm gonna put Aston Villa's manager. I'm not understanding this. No, Chris Wilder should be in that one. Yeah. Right. I can't remember his name, not gonna lie, but I think he's a good manager. I like the team he's building. I think they look like a unit that's going to be built. I think he's seen the problems that he's had in his team, and he's trying to fill them. Like, not gonna lie, I think the signing of Ross Barkley on loan is gonna be a bigger signing than everyone thinks. Because what they don't realise is Ross Barkley being in that team opens up Grealish. If they are just marking Grealish, then Ross Barkley has room to create as well. Whereas if it's the other way round, they mark Ross Barkley, then Grealish has like time to create. And I think he's doing very well for what he's been like, what he's got, and I like the way they're playing. I think they're scary. Like, if you look on my prediction list, I say that Aston Villa are going to shock people this season, and I do believe that. I think they look scary good. Defensively, they're solid. Attacking wise, I would say maybe they're lacking a few goals, but then they did score 7 against Liverpool. And they did score a lot against Fulham as well. But I think they got a really good team, a really good play style. Like, they defend as a team, but they also attack as a team. And his players want to play for him. You can see that. Like, you wouldn't beat Liverpool 7-2 if you didn't want to play for a manager. So I think he's very good. But the reason why he's a bit lower, because last season I thought they relied on Grealish too much. But if I was just going off this season, he would be much higher. Like, but I do like him. Even last season, when I liked him as a manager, I just didn't think it was coming off for him. And it didn't help that they didn't have a striker that scored any goals last year. It was very much Grealish doing it. So yeah. Next up on the list, I think it's, personally for me, it's gonna be Roy Hodgson. I think he's been very good for Crystal Palace, but he's never taken them that extra step. He's always consistently keeping them at this mark. And he's had a bit of money, to be fair, invested in him as a manager. And I think he's done well. Like, he tends to do very good against big sides as well. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I remember him as England manager and I was like, oh, he's not that good. But he is pretty good, like, for Crystal Palace. He's done a good job there. But I wouldn't rank him above any of the others, basically. I think he's relying on Zaha too much. And Zaha's like, when he doesn't play, that team struggles. But I do think he's a good manager. Defensively, they are very good and very hard to beat. But he doesn't have that extra quality. Personally, like, I think Aston Villa's manager after this season, I will prefer him over Roy Hodgson. I'll probably prefer Aston Villa's manager over a lot of these. But, yeah, personally right now, I would put him there. Then next up, I am gonna say Graham Potter. Graham Potter, very good, and this Brighton team now look like a side that could beat any team on their day. Like, I think they're playing really good football. They brought in some really good signings, and tactically, I think they're playing very well. They know what to do. Like, they outplayed us when they played us. They did lose, but they were very unlucky to lose that, basically. It was one of those days where they had so many chances, just didn't finish any of them. But yeah, I think he's a very good manager. I think he's going under the radar at the moment with everything because he's at Brighton. But the job he is doing at Brighton is pretty good. They look like quite scary on the counter-attack, I'm not going to lie. And that's one thing that we struggle on, as the counter-attack. Next up, I'm gonna say I think I have to put Sean Dyche next. Sean Dyche is going in 10th place. The reason why I rate Sean Dyche, even though he's not ever reached the next level like a lot of these managers, is he's at a club that don't spend any money. To do what he's doing with a club like that is amazing. Like, they are performing very good for a club that don't even really spend any money at any seasons. He seems to get, like, their defence, he seems to always bring in these good defenders, and like Ben Mee have been solid for him for ages. Tarkowski is very solid for them. And you got to remember, he had the likes of like Trippier, and Trippier's like Atletico's main right back at the moment. They had Michael Keane at one point, and Michael Keane's the main point of Everton's defence. And he is a very good manager. He gets a lot out of a team that aren't really, like, on paper they should be relegated, really, but he gets a lot out of them. So yeah, I'm very impressed with Sean Dyche. I think he deserves that spot. Like, I don't think he's better than any of the managers I am going to list, but he's solid for what job he's got. I think it'd be interesting to see him in a bit of a bigger role, see if he could do any better, but I think he's going to be that kind of manager, like a Big Sam or something. Like, he will keep you in a safe place, but he's never gonna get you for a Champions League spot. And I really rate managers like that, because there's a lot of managers that would go into these jobs and they wouldn't keep a struggling team safe, but they somehow do it. But anyway, going on to the next managers, I think I'm gonna have to put Nuno in here, because he's done really well with this Wolves team, and this Wolves team looks really good. But I do some games see cracks in that Wolves team. I think they are very impressive, but I think they need to now prove they can go to the next step. And that's what I worry with this manager, is he's not going to be able to take them to that next step. I think he's been backed a lot, so it'd be interesting to see what he could do if he wasn't backed. Because it seems he wants a player, they get him that player. So I don't know, it's hard to say. With him, he's in a job that seems ideal at the moment. Yes, you're not getting backed like a Pep, you're not getting backed like a what other managers are getting backed. To be fair, Mourinho's been backed a bit recently. I wouldn't say Liverpool, because Liverpool don't spend a lot, but yeah, I would say he's very no, Liverpool have been backed, what I'm talking about. But yeah, he's very good. Then next up, I'm gonna have to say David Moyes. Now, everyone's probably wondering, why have I put him up so high? Because he got Sunderland relegated. Did he really? That Sunderland, no matter what manager went in charge of that team, were going to get relegated. It's one of the worst teams I've ever seen in the Premier League. But what you got to remember is, with David Moyes, is he came in, taking over this West Ham team that was struggling. He kept them above the relegation zone. Now they're putting in performances. They came back 3-3 against a Spurs team that is very deadly at the moment. And I think he did terrible at United, but to be fair, when he took over United, we had a lot of players that were past their time, and he was taking over a horrible job. I know, we won the league before, but we didn't have any players that did, they should have been, should have still been there. We should have had a lot of new players that were coming in still, so even when they moved on, they could fill their spot. We didn't. We had a Rio Ferdinand that was near retirement, a Vidic that was near retirement. Every one of those players just didn't. And to be fair, there's some big shoes to fill. Anyone that walks into a job after a manager winning league after league after league after league is going to struggle, because you're never going to live up to it. And at the same time, these players have been used to Sir Alex for so long that a new manager coming in, they're not gonna play for him like they were gonna play for Sir Alex. But yeah, I think he is a good manager, but I can see why people don't rate him. But he's done good jobs at the teams that he has been. But I think he is one of those managers where he thrives at being at that lower league team. I wouldn't say lower league team as in a team like West Brom, Fulham, but a team that is lower league, but you can also get a little bit of backing. And this West Ham team are looking defensively very good, attacking wise, very good. And I think, like, I put them down relegation at the start of the season, not because of Moyes being in charge, just because I didn't think the players were there. And I think he's a very good manager at going, right, okay, you're a really good player, but you're not playing well, so you're not in the team. Like, you don't want to play for the club, so you're not in the team. I think that's what he's very good at doing. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to the next manager. I'm gonna say Bielsa is the manager here. Reason I put him here is because we've not seen enough of him so far. He's doing a very, very good job at Leeds, and he's playing very exciting football. But at the same time, I do worry about this football because it's so attacking that I don't think you can win a league with attacking. You win a league by having a good defence. Because it's alright scoring 4 goals, but then you concede 5 goals. And what if you come up against that team that defensively is amazing and counter-attacks you, and because you play so attacking, it's easy to score goals. Like, not gonna lie, I think when United play Leeds, it's gonna be a very high-scoring game because it will suit us against them. And that's what I think Leeds are going to struggle with, is those teams that pull back and counter-attack with pace, because I don't think they are ready for that. But yeah, I think he's a very good manager, and he's well respected, and it looks like all the Leeds fans are backing him, and I don't blame them because he's pulled out a lot of good, and they're back in the Premier League. How can you not back a manager that's just brought you back into the Premier League? Like, it's hard not to. Next up, I am gonna say Brendan. No, I'm gonna say Frank. Frank Lampard is 5th for me. I've gone wrong somewhere here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, okay, let's put you and you in here. I don't know where I've gone wrong, but we'll rank them like this. They're all in order, so it doesn't matter. Frank Lampard for me is this position. I think Frank Lampard, he's done well for his first season at Chelsea. But he still had a good team. Like, he took over a team that still had a lot of very good players in it, and a lot of young players that want to fight. And yes, maybe they weren't proven in the Prem, but they were doing well in other leagues. And they say, oh yeah, he had a transfer ban. But what you got to remember, at the same time, they still managed to bring in a few players from that transfer ban, because they signed them before the transfer ban even happened. So they had likelihoods of Pulisic, and there was one other player as well, I can't remember who, Kovacic, that was it. And so they still had 2 new signings basically. I think he's done well for them, but do I think he's been brilliant? No. I think, yes, attacking wise, they score a lot of goals. They play some quite nice football every now and then, but I wouldn't say they're top quality. I would say they look very flaky at the back, and yes, he has, I wouldn't say he's a terrible manager, I think he's overhyped because, one, he's English, and he's Frank Lampard. Chelsea fans absolutely adore this guy, and why wouldn't you? But I wouldn't say he's done fantastic. I would say he did well, and yeah, a lot of people wrote him off, but to be fair, a lot of teams had bad seasons last year. But he did also throw it at the end. They were a very good team, then they threw it. away. That's what you got to remember. And I think he gets over-credited because he is English. It's like any English player, they get over-credited because they're English. But I think he's done a good job. I think I don't know tactically what he's trying to plan. It looks like he's going, oh well, they're a good player, they're a good player, they're a good player, we'll bring them in. Do they fit my system? Maybe not. Like, they've brought in all these players that are like centre attacking midfielders. And I'm like, well, what about, like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, got Havertz, you got Mount, you've got like all these centre attack midfielders, and I'm like, well, like, I just don't think he fully knows what he wants to be playing yet, and that's the problem. It looks like they just don't know. He doesn't know his team and their best play style. And I think this Chelsea team, if you had your likelihoods of a Klopp or a Mourinho in this team, I actually think they would push for the champions. Even Carlo Ancelotti, I think they would push for it. But yeah, I think it's one of those, like, you can't completely say, like, who knows, he might be the best manager in the league, but it's still early doors. Now, next up, I am gonna go Ole. No, I'm going to go Mikel. I think he's doing very good at Arsenal, and I think he is a good tactician. But it's really early for him. Like, you can't mark him as a manager properly yet, but he does look like he's got an idea. Because this Arsenal team's performing so much better under him than they were any other manager. And he has been given a very difficult job. Like, apart from Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, and Leno, there's not many other players that would maybe go into any other team. Like, a lot of their players are very average, but he's getting good out of them. But I still think he's got some really well-class players in there that the job's not as hard as you may think. You've just got to try and get them to play together. And yeah, it's one of those. But I think he's done very well. I think maybe in a few years' time I'll put him a lot higher, but because he's not been proven enough in the Prem yet, that's why he's there. So yeah, that's why. But anyway, next up, I'm gonna put Ole. Now, Ole, I back him as United manager. I think he's been very good, but then they say, like, at the start of the season we started off bad, admittedly. 2 games we've lost. But at the same time, like, yeah, we got hammered by Spurs, but we also had a player sent off, so that comes into it. And at the same time, if you look how that player got sent off, I wouldn't even blame the players on the pitch for losing the momentum of wanting to fight for that game, because that game's already gone way against them. So yeah, I think it's hard to say, oh well, look how bad he did against Spurs, because we didn't until we got the red card. Like, we actually looked like it was very back and forth, that game. It was very even. But then we got the red card, and then Spurs were all over us because they had that extra man, and you can do that. It's very easy when they get a red card to be all over a team. And as players, if something like that goes your way and you know it's the wrong decision, it can make you not want to fight for the game. So yeah, but then if you look at the fact we ended up getting third after a very slow start of last season is amazing. If you look at the PSG game we just played, tactically he got that PSG game down completely right. The only player that maybe I would have played was Van de Beek, but at the same time I think he needed McTominay and Fred in there, because Fred's a workhorse and McTominay's defensively he works as well, and that's what I think he needs. I think he's been very unlucky with it, and I think the reason why he looks so bad is because, yes, he might be a bit of a yes man, but at the same time he's got to try and get the board on his side, because if the board's on his side, then they'll give him stuff, and I think that's what went against Mourinho at Man United. That's what went against Van Gaal at Man United. Is they were against the board, and the board were like, well, if you're going to do that, we're not going to give you the money. So I think a lot of people overlook that kind of thing and go, oh, well, he's always going, yes, yes. I think, I reckon, behind the cameras, he does have a backbone. Because if you watch Ole in some of his reactions, he's very annoyed. But on camera, it's not the place to say it. It's behind scenes you need it to happen. You don't make a scene and make your club out worse through the camera. And that's why Mourinho lost his job. That's why Van Gaal lost his job. David Moyes lost his job for a different reason. But yeah, I think he's a very good manager. I think he's the man we need. Look at what Rashford and Martial did last season. They both got double figures. We've not had double figures since Sir Alex. A player in double figures really since Sir Alex. Yes, we had Ibra for that one season, but Ibra was a different class. But it's been very hard to get any players into double figures. And then I think he knows his team as well. I think he knows the players he wants to bring in. He didn't get back this season, and that's unfortunate, and it was a shame because we would probably be in a better position now if he got back this season, but he didn't. But he is a good manager. He's not clueless. Look at the 15 games he won under us. Look at how we actually managed to get third place in the end. We were the best team after lockdown in the Premier League. And for them to say, oh, well, you lost your first 2 games at the start of the season, oh, Ole's clueless. Well, how come we won 15 games last season? Yes, was Bruno a big part of it? Yeah. But at the same time, we brought in Bruno. He's the manager and he's putting Bruno in those games. He's got him playing in a position that he likes. And you can't say that the players don't want to play for him. That's one thing I think is very underlooked by as a manager. Look at that team that played against PSG. Everyone gave their all in that game. And that's a hard thing to come by. I think the players are very happy, and that's why it's very uncommon to get players leave. I understand if Pogba does leave because he's getting to an older stage now and he wants to win Champions League maybe in the next few years, and maybe he personally doesn't feel like we could do it in the next few years, because I don't think it's because of Solskjaer. I think it's because he knows that the board won't back him. But yeah, I think it's what he is, a very good manager, and he is very good. He gets things wrong, but every manager does. Look at Mourinho. He's been fired from Chelsea and that because of bad seasons, but he's also won everything. Look at Pep, he's had a very terrible start this season, but he's also won everything. Look at Klopp. He had a very bad first 3 seasons, really, for Liverpool. Like, they were playing good football, but they weren't good. And now I think he's won everything for them. So yeah. But next up, obviously I did talk a lot about him, but he is my manager, so I'm going to put Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers, very underrated. He isn't the type of manager to get you in the Champions League, to win the Champions League, or to win, like, he's not that type of manager, but he gets the best out of what he's been given, and he's also good at making these new next stars. And that Leicester team, you can see it. Like, Harvey Barnes looks very good. He's brought in Maddison, he looks very good. Ben Chilwell just left to Chelsea. He wasn't anyone until Brendan took over, really. So I think he's very good, very underrated, and I think a lot of the lower teams would take him because he would get the best out of those teams. I think Liverpool, were they right to move on from Brendan Rodgers? Yes, but was he good for them? Yeah. He almost won 2 leagues with them. That's what everyone forgets. If it wasn't for Gerrard slipping in that season, they would have won that. And it's unfortunate they didn't. But they were playing good football, and yes, did he rely on Suarez and Sturridge? Yeah, but he also, like, he did get the best out of them, and Suarez after that was an incredible player. When Rodgers left, Sturridge was never the same player. So yeah, I think he is very underrated. In 4th place, a very controversial pick, but I'm gonna have to put Pep. Don't rate him at all. I think it's like going, right, okay, we're gonna get you to make a house, but we're gonna give you all the money in the world and all the best resources in the world, and then you make a house that does well and is worth like most on the market, but it's only worth a little bit more than the house that's down the road that didn't get much funding towards. Like, that's what I feel like Pep is. He's good, yeah, he can win. Does he get the best out of his players? No, I would just say he's brought in the best players that he possibly could. Like, if you look, only player that I would say who's probably shined under him maybe is Sterling, but Sterling was already shining before him. And De Bruyne was already one of the best, like, centre attack midfielders before they brought him, and I think that's just De Bruyne for you. But if you look after when he took over City, yeah, he won stuff, but he already had an amazing team. Like, if you look at the players he's actually brought in, how many of them can you say is an amazing signing? Benjamin Mendy, is he a great left back? No, he's decent, but he's not amazing. John Stones was one of the best English centre backs, and one of the better centre backs in the league. He's been awful. Sane was a good signing, and Bernardo Silva's a good signing, and so was Mahrez, but they were all known to be good players. Whereas you look at every other team, Ole brought in Bruno. Bruno was known as a good player at Sporting, but he wasn't known as the best. Whereas now he's one of the best players in the league. Frank Lampard, okay, we can't really say he's brought in anyone, but Werner looks good, Havertz looks good, but to be fair, they were best players. But then you look at someone like Mason Mount, he's looking a really good player under him. Um, even Arteta, like, there's a few players in that team where you're like, wow, they're playing really well. Like, didn't expect that. Saka, for example. Saka's looking a good player under him. Then you've got Ancelotti. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's looking like Lewandowski under him. Jurgen Klopp. Like, Salah, Firmino and Mane. They're all looking well class. You've got the likelihoods of Milner still being like an amazing midfielder under him. Henderson being one of the best midfielders and a vital point to that team. So yeah, and then Mourinho, look at what he's getting out of Kane. Kane looks one of the best strikers, but also he's a creative player now. They all get good out of managers, whereas I wouldn't say Pep is really like. Fernandinho's been a saviour for him, in my opinion. In that defence, I think without Fernandinho, that defence goes all over the place. And I think he's always been a manager that's taken over the best team in the league and won stuff. Not gonna lie, most of these managers, if they took over those teams, would probably have won stuff. Like, give this job to Steve Bruce. He would probably win stuff, and Steve Bruce is awful in my opinion. Give this job to Roy, he probably wins stuff. But I think he is a good tactician, but I also don't think he's a tactician. I think he's one of those where he sounds smarter than he actually is. Like, how can you say he's a good tactician when he's went to RB Leipzig last season and he's rested all his players and then got knocked out, and he rested his players so they could win the next match? How can you say that's a good tactician? He's playing his best CDM in centre back because all the other centre backs that he spent millions on aren't good enough. Well, they were at the old club, so what's gone wrong now? I don't rate him at all. I think I put him up there because of what he's won, but he was expected to win that, and I don't think he's good. In third place, I'm going to put Ancelotti, mainly because he doesn't have as much proven time in the Premier League, but he has been very good in the Premier League. This Everton team looks scary good, and the fact that they got a draw out of Liverpool, yes, Liverpool lost Van Dijk, but they're still a very good team, and Liverpool only scored 2 against them. That's very impressive. I would say that's probably the worst game they played as well against that Liverpool team. But yeah, I think he's getting the best out of all those players in there. And I think I've got them down to win the Premier League this season because I think he could. But yeah, he is third for me. Second place, Mourinho. How you can not put him up there is crazy. Whether you like him or not, he's probably the best tactician out there. But the reason he loses his jobs is because players give up fighting for him because of the way he is. He's the C word. I'm not going to say it because it's horrible. But he is one. But that's where he gets his winning mentality from. And he is, in my opinion, the best tactician out there. If there was one manager to take over a team and be like, oh, right, okay, we don't have the players here, but we're going to outplay this team, it would be him. Everyone looks over the days when he was at Porto. Everyone looks over the days when he was at Inter. Everyone looks over the days at Chelsea. Even when he took over our terrible United team at the time. Yes, he got backed, but he didn't get back completely the season after once he got the Champions League. But he won a lot for us, like, for the few seasons he was there. He did the triple for us, not like league-wise, but he won the Europa League, I think it was the FA Cup and something else. How can you say like he wasn't good? Because he won a lot. But his downfall is losing his players. But first, it's got to be Klopp. Klopp was the manager that I wanted United to have. When I heard him go to Liverpool, I was gutted. Never been more gutted in my life. What he's done at Liverpool and what he'd done at Dortmund is amazing, because they're both teams that never were expected to challenge. Well, never expected to win. Yes, Liverpool you'd say maybe a bit more, but that Dortmund team, it's crazy how he won with Dortmund the league. He won the Champions League. It shows how good he is at, one, getting players that he thinks that he knows is going to be good. Two, also getting the best out of his players. And three, making a team that's okay, challenging for Champions League to champions. He knows how he's played. Wouldn't say he's the best tactician, because they do struggle to change what they do play, and that's his downfall. He struggles to go, right, okay, this team is going to outplay us, but I think he knows there's not many teams that are going to outplay his team, because they work so hard, and that's why they've been so hard to beat, because you look at them and they never give up in that Liverpool team. So yeah. But anyway, that's the Premier League managers and where I rank them this season. Scott Parker being the worst, and then Klopp being the best. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Obviously, I've not got it right, because there's not a right answer. But you might think I'm wrong, but that's my opinion, and how I would rank it. But anyway, let me know what you guys think, and write down in the comments what your opinion is. Maybe say where you would put everyone. But as well, if you haven't already, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.